Hello. Hi, everybody. Great. Let's see. Wait, we're live video. Live video is starting. And here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, AO community. It's Greg D'Amico here. And I am back for this month's session of coaching and answering questions. So, as usual, I like to add a little context for anybody who's new, see where I'm coming from. I'm working out of my Knoxville office today, so a little bit different background than normal. Hopefully, the not too bright back there. I needed some light to be able to read the questions. So, I have a software business currently. I do mobile app, e-commerce development, custom type stuff, and I also do a lot of data integration work. So I work with big, medium-sized companies, also people that come to me with ideas on they have the next $1 billion idea to start a mobile with a mobile app idea, and if they get that launched, it's going to go gangbusters for them. But usually people don't have the inclination to think about the marketing side of it once they get it built. So a little bit of previous to that, I'm a business guy. I don't write software, even though I own a software company. So I have a finance degree that I evolved into doing financial planning, money management, and then I started a mutual fund in '95, and I rode the wave of that time period up and took the company and the funds in the firm to $1 billion in assets. And that was at the top of the market. We were the number one growth and income fund in the country for 3 and 5 years. And we were put on the Schwab Select list, and it was some exciting times. But then the world ended from the financial market perspective about the third month of 2000 and started downward from there, and then continued to get worse and worse as we had Enron, WorldCom scandals, we had 9/11, we had a bunch of other things that happened that caused for 3 years of negatives in the marketplace. So with that, I sold the firm. I looked for partners or people to either buy us or we buy somebody else, and ending up selling it. But around 2005-ish, before I did that, though, I was looking for my next endeavor, and seeing that connectivity was being created, a more connected civilization was being created by software. I wanted to open up a software company, and I did. We did that in 2004, and I went to India and set up an office there, and that's where we started doing a lot of web application development that evolved into the late 2000s there when mobile apps came out. Shortly after they did, I saw the future being mobile apps driving things for the future, and got my team to do learn how to do mobile app development, which we evolved since then. So right now I'm working on some other ideas and partner with some other people on different applications, and I am here to do a little bit of sharing of these experiences. I'm also an EO. I've been an EO since '99. That's the Entrepreneurs Organization, and Sean is an EO also, and a lot of the sharing he does is a lot of the aspects of content and so forth he gets from there to share with you guys and the creation of the AO community. So excited to be here. Let's dig into the questions. Okay, first question is from Michael. Michael asks, when a client wants to break a contract with you because you don't offer something that you're now asking for, that they are now asking for, and was not in the contract, how do you deal with it? Business description and background of question. Back in April, I was asked how much time was remaining in our contract with a client. I provided the contract that clearly shows 3 years remaining. My business partner was in discussion with one of the contacts this past week where they asked if we offered a particular service that we have not offered but do hope to do in the future. We were served papers today from their lawyer that because of this, our contract is not valid. I call BS but want some insight as to how you would deal with this. So, Michael, okay, so from a business perspective, right, because definitely I'm not a lawyer, and you want to do some consulting with some lawyers here, but it's always tough to be in situations with with lawyers involved. I hate it. It happens, and you just got to work through it. I don't like the idea of I like doing everything I can to try to minimize and prevent court or legal action if possible. Try to settle with clients and so on and so forth. I've only been in a couple, and right now I'm actually going to small claims court to sue a guy that we provided contract that was going to give us contract services, that we paid him the deposit. He didn't do a single piece of work, and for some reason feels like he's not owed any or not doesn't owe us the money back on the deposit, even though in his statement of work he said he was going to do all these things and he didn't do one single thing. So try to avoid it when possible, but here are some thoughts relative to this. I would look at the contract and see what the value is to you. Okay, if you take that 3 years, those services, add them up, what number are you talking about? And then from there, I would talk to some attorneys and see what it would take to kind of, challenge them a little bit. I wouldn't say go to court with them because I would try to prevent that, but that would be just from my experience. Okay, maybe it'd be appropriate in your situation. So I would look at maybe calling their bluff here. They could be bluffing you guys and saying they want to get out of this for some reason. You can come back to them and say that we can offer you those services, but they weren't in a contract, and you can't terminate the contract without cause for given that we didn't provide those services because they were never based in the contract. So do what you can with talking to some attorneys, get an idea of what you think some of that simple interaction would take. Some letter writing back and forth, and having that analysis of what it's going to look like on the different steps. Okay, if you go through some letter writing and you get them to come to the table and resolve it, then you move forward. But I also look at this situation in that right now you got a client that's not happy, and to keep them locked into a contract that they're not going to be happy with is going to be challenging for you guys. So what can you do to make them happy? Potentially. If not, then walking away from this, how much money you're walking away from, is it better to focus on getting new business with the money that would be spent challenging this and move on? So those are just some of my thoughts on this. There's a lot of other people that you could be talking to relative that have more experience probably than I do with this situation, but that's how I would handle it from my perspective and knowing what I know about your situation. Okay, next question is from Robin. Robin asks, what are the ideas you would have to build relationships with other local businesses in your area? The business description and background: I am an independent artist and sell my art to art enthusiasts and building an online e-commerce store. In order to build my audience locally, I'm looking for ideas you may have to best network and get involved in the local community. Thanks. Hey, Robin. Good. It's you're always putting good questions out there, so let's see what we can do to help you. One area that I would consider would be BNI, Business Networking International. They usually do breakfasts or lunches, and it's potential for you to connect with some people out there in the community. Not saying that a lot of these people in that network would know people that have art, but it's worth trying, and it's meeting new relationships, getting people aware of what you're doing, and potentially finding you some potential people of interest that would want to buy your art. So another thing that I would consider doing is going to some of the local art galleries and asking a lot of questions. Okay, the first question you may ask them just maybe no, but you want to keep going with questions. You want to keep diving in and try to see if you can hit a sweet spot for them that they may be more open to. Like, hey, do you ever do networking events here with artists, or do you ever do events for new artists or local artists that want to show off their art? And if not, do you know anybody who does that? Also, you could think about putting on your own, putting together your own little art show, local art show. maybe asking these local galleries that you talk to, would they be open for you hosting an art show and bringing in some local talent and so forth, if they don't do that already. And if they don't, then if those places are not receptive to that, then I would find a place and I would gather some other local artists and see about putting out, you guys pulling your resources together, your contacts, and being able to go out and put together your own little art show. That could be something that builds some momentum behind it and becomes an annual event or semi-annual event or some theme relative to your city you can make it a part of. So, like in Knoxville, we have certain events like in springtime and so forth. And we're in Rochester, where I grew up. They have what's called the Lilac Festival, and Rochester, New York. And these type of events are good for bringing people out, getting them outside, getting them walking around events, and local people, merchants, putting up different products. A lot of them in the artsy type of area that could be helpful to you. Okay, so I like that idea of doing some type of your own art show to help display this, but trying to partner with others so you can pull resources together to make that happen. So good luck with that, Robin. Okay, Kelly asked the next question. Kelly asked, what steps would I need to take if I wanted to try and find and hire a commission-based salesperson, since I don't have a budget to pay a salary, but I know there is business out there? Business description and background question. I am an excavation company specializing in site prep, teaching, and road construction. I am a one-man show. I need to drive sales. I need more work. Having someone else sell and pay them commission is a very new concept for me, but something I think will benefit my growth. What steps do I need to take to make this happen if possible? Okay, Kelly, well, thing is, I think you're onto something there, and that aspect of it is challenging. We all would like to have those people that would bring us business that we could give them a percentage of it, and since when you have the business, you have the ability to pay that money as opposed to providing a salary for somebody that's supposed to be selling for you that really is not, and you're paying out money and not getting the return of them going out and creating sales. So the commission side is attractive. What you could do is, one, I would put an ad on Indeed. Indeed's become really popular for finding people. I just use it to track down a few video type guys in Tulsa, because Tulsa, Oklahoma, because my partner is there and we needed some on-site video people to help with pulling together some things that we wanted to get, a course that we're creating that we wanted to get out into the marketplace. So Indeed was great for finding people out there, and so putting an ad up could attract those type of people that are good and confident in their abilities that they would do this for a commission. I would talk to some people in your industry, that some of your subcontractors and so forth, and ask them if they know of somebody that has like relationships with people that you would sell to, and see if that would create some potential opportunities. You also may want to call some recruiters and kind of pick their brain a little bit. They're going to be wanting you to sell their services or go out and find a person. What in this situation, they want to get a percentage of the salary, and in this situation, you're not providing a salary. So you may want to try that. It's going to be a little bit touch and go with some of these people because they're not going to feel any value associated with helping you in this regard. I'd also look at posting an ad in Facebook. If you put an ad in Facebook, not an ad, but a post, hey, friends, looking for somebody that can help me with my business, somebody commission. Do you know anybody, or does any of your friends know anybody you think that would be of interest in having a commission-based position? But give them some reasons to want to discuss this with you. That would be incentivizing them. You got to explain a little bit about the position, what kind of opportunity they can make, what kind of contracts that you bring in, and so they have kind of some type of guesstimate as to the potential that this role would provide. Okay, so those are some of my ideas. I definitely put this out to other people to see if you can get some feedback from others. Okay, next question is Demarius, and Demarius asked the question, when should I hire my CPA as a bookkeeper? Business description and background question. I operate a phone flipping business and I am full-time home inspector. As business grows in both fields, how do I know when it's time to flip a switch and get a full-time bookkeeper? Okay, Demarius. Well, I have a financial background along with some accounting background. So I do my own work in this space with Zero. I like Zero more than QuickBooks, but a lot of businesses use QuickBooks. Zero was invented for the digital age where QuickBooks had to evolve from the previous world and into the digital world. And I just think Zero is just a little bit easier. So it doesn't matter which one you have, they both accomplish the same goal. And I use a virtual assistant to do some of the menial type of work in there that I don't want to do, but it's just repetitive and so on and so forth. But I like to keep track of where I am with the money I'm spending and where the money is supposed to be coming from. And when I can follow up with clients that may be a little behind in payment, where I can nudge them with an email, hey, just checking on the latest invoice, haven't seen anything on it yet, can you give me an update when that's going to be paid? Stuff like that. So, what else? I would, in this world, I don't think having a full-time person is necessary. But I don't know enough about your business to actually say for sure relative to this. I think there's a lot of companies out there that are advertising and marketing bookkeeping services. I would explore that route because you don't want to have somebody full-time that is not having the work needed. And most small businesses don't need full-time bookkeepers or CPAs unless you have a business that has thousands and thousands of invoices that need to go out every month. Then you're talking about some work and you're talking about having somebody full-time, managing that and so forth. If you have 20, 50, 100 invoices go out, I only send out like 15 to 20 invoices a month, if that at times. Sometimes it's only 10 because I have a bunch of consistent clients that send work over, I get it done, send it back, and that kind of happens regularly. So if this is a complicated world for you, you need to do home inspections. How many homes do you inspect a month? How many invoices do you send out relative to that? And figure out if you had a good virtual type or this online bookkeeping service that can manage that for you, they can do so at a percentage of the cost it would be to have a full-time person. It's good to have your CPA involved to give you big picture recommendations, tax management, minimizing taxes, paying your quarterly taxes, and so on and so forth. But I just don't feel the worth is there unless your particular situation warrants it. So that's up for you to determine and figure that out. But do what you can to find some subtype of or how you call it, part-time type of bookkeeping services. Hope that helps, Demetrius. Josh asked the question, how do you know what questions I ask mentors when I don't know the questions to ask? Okay, business description, background question. Let's see. His company name is Incentivize, is a new e-commerce business in the FBA retail and online arbitrage space. We are new, and I just don't know what questions to ask you mentors in order for me to grow my company. I want to learn and want to get guidance, but I am a little stuck knowing what to ask. We are pretty much pre-revenue and just starting with the company. If it helps, I also have a full-time job, so I am doing this in off hours, which hopefully will possibly lead to me quitting my job someday. Okay, so hi Josh, and interesting that you're looking here. I would say that the questions you need to ask, or kind of think of it, the analogy of what is the rock that's in my shoe. and you get some little pebble stuck in your shoe and you're walking on it and you don't want to take your shoe off, but every time you take a step it nags at you, and finally you realize that if you just take care of that rock, your life's going to be a lot better, or that pebble or that little prickly thing that's in there. So what do? The questions that you want to ask are the ones that are giving you the most pain, or like, what are the rocks in your shoe? Okay, that particular rock is something causing you distraction, discomfort, and what you want to do is you want to figure out how to get rid of it. Okay, but also there's the opportunities of, how do I grow my business? How do I bring on the best employees? How do I hire employees? How do I incentivize them? How do I put in the right processes and so forth? That's all relative. What are the right financial software to use to manage my business and so forth? That's going to depend on you and your situation and what you're running into right now. So the question to ask are the ones that are your big concerns, and the ones keeping you up, the ones that are the rocks in your shoe, and so forth. So, like finding, like, where do you find clients at? What is your ideal client? That's a key question to ask. And finding when you find the right avatar client, which is a description of what your client looks like, what they do, where they hang out, you're going to better be able to position and market yourself to get in front of the people that are your ideal client. Okay, so hope that helps, Josh. Keep the questions coming, and they'll be there as you continue to try to push through on the business. They'll be popping up for you. So Eric asked the question: what are the strategies I can implement to go deeper within a specific industry to gain more clients? Business description and background of question. ARO Effect Marketing is a full-service agency specializing in lead generation. We assist our clients with branding, social media, advertising, and content creation services. Right now, there's a word that's messed up here. That's right. I to go into industry events where most of my clients, it sounds like he's saying that trying to go into industry events where more of my target clients will be. Maybe sponsor the event, be a speaker, etc. What are your thoughts, and are there any other suggestions that you would have that I would use to get a larger market share with my niche? Okay, so hi Eric. Well, let's see here. Like, going to events, industry events, and so forth that could target your clients is definitely a way to look at this. I look at this a little bit more by defining who that is, so you know that when you're going to an industry event, it's going to be most appropriate for you. So I would look at creating what's called your Dream 100. It doesn't have to be 100, but it could be your Dream 50, it could be your Dream 250, it could be your Dream 500, depending on your industry, your type of clients you have, and so forth. But when you get a specific grouping of clients, you know who they are, you've defined them, you define where they hang out, and so forth. Then you're going to have, just like I said in the previous area, you're going to have the right aspects of where to go to find these clients, what industry events you should go to, what industry events you should be speaking at, what should you be writing blogs for that's going to get their attention, and so forth. Okay, this is created by Chet Holmes, the late Chet Holmes. He's passed now, but he wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. I would get that book, and with that, I would look at reading the areas that talk about the Dream 100 and talking about the stadium pitch and how you put your ideas out there, which will give you better ideas about where to go. Okay, he talks about different things in there about where to get clients, and he has one area where he talks about, like, he mails out a FedEx package to his Dream 100 where they have a unique set of things in there, some type of toy or some type of funny gadget or something that could be useful for them, and with all regard to getting somebody's attention. Okay, you send these out, you get their attention. They kind of like, wow, this is kind of unique and different. So you become more memorable in your clients' minds, and then you can follow up with calls and so on and so forth. But I look at that book and really explore that relative to your situation and your industry and see what ideas can manifest because of that. Hope that helps, Eric. Next question is by Greg. Hi, Greg. I like your name, man. Question that he's asking: I am contemplating purchasing a leads list. What is the best way to find a company that can provide me with a list that is right for my business? Business description and background question. Uh, James Gilio answered a question about sales pipeline, and he said it's time to buy a leads list. I have not tried that before, and I'm wondering what reputable companies out there that do this. James also mentioned Tom Black can help with scripts and sales methodologies. Any guidance would be appreciated. Yes, I like the idea of having lists there, Greg, but where you find them, that is a little bit challenging. I've used some leads companies in the past, and most of the time I've not had great experience with them. I would say you find a list company that backs their list up, because a lot of the content on them could be old and outdated, and you're only getting a percentage of the people on there you're actually getting. So the thing to do would be to talk to some different people. I would talk to the people on here, Tom Black and James, and see who they know. And also, I mean, Greg has a marketing company on, or Eric has a marketing company on here, Greg, and he could be somebody to talk to. So Greg's last name is Ovensy, Ovesny, and with his marketing company, he may use list and could give you some recommendations of a good list company. When you find a good list company, that is going to be a very attractive way to go after and target your respective clients, potential clients. So, do you have any other friends with marketing companies? I would ask them this question also, and or even post something on Facebook asking for leads. But that is a good way to target. Using email outreach is a good way to go after people, but you just need to structure those emails appropriately. I just read a book called The Cold Email Manifesto that was fascinating to me about how they are doing outreach. And while I was in the middle of reading the book, I actually got an email from somebody that was using the approach and trying to sell me on an idea. I actually talked to them because of the way they do it. They like to warm up the cold email with something personal about the person. So they have a team of people kind of doing a little bit of research. What are the things that this person does? What's something on their website that you can compliment them, and so on and so forth, and dig in a little bit more from there. So check out if that helps you, Greg. Next question is Michael. Michael asks, after you buy into a business, how do you quantify that you have got your investment back? Business description, background question. I bought into TicketScene.ca a year ago. I've been working at it and have just quit my day job in April. So now the business is paying me wages, but it's only paying what I would have made in my day job. At present, I don't believe this is getting my investment back. So, okay, Michael, yeah, I agree with you. It's not. If you are working for them and they're paying you a wage, that means that you are performing a duty respective of that company. Unless they contractually said otherwise, that this is a partial return of what your investment, then it shouldn't be factored in from your side. A return of capital, I mean, it should be designated from the company that any payment to you is specified as a return of capital. Anything paid to you that is in the form of the wage, that is for work performed by you. And so I would look at that and have that conversation with them to make sure they're not thinking something different. Okay, so you want to be you got a wage, you're getting paid, you're doing these services, and with the expectation that you got into the company and you are going to get a return on your investment. So not only your money back, but a return from there. So what does that look like based on the initial aspects that you set up for the company? I mean, the initial terms of your investment. Um, so I would look at the book Simple Numbers by Greg Crabtree. He talks about this in detail about what he talks about it around a lot, like what small businesses don't realize what their net profits are. A lot of small businesses think they're getting paid, um, that their money that they're paid to them is a return, is net profit, and that's not the case. The owner of the business should be getting a salary that's appropriate for, if this business had hired somebody in the marketplace to perform these services, what that wage is, and that wage is not part of your net profits. Okay, and Greg Crabtree talks about this in saying that you factor and you run your numbers in your business to determine your profitability. You have to look at these different areas and make sure that you are accounting for them and so forth. In your regards to your return on your investment, it's somewhat similar. The company is supposed to pay you back a return, or pay you money back, but also pay you return on that over a period of time that it feels like you're getting your money back. But it's not in the form of wages. So check out that book and see if that can help you. Okay, so Ricardo asked the question: how do you weigh the cost and returns with how many events and conferences you should attend within your industry to build relationships and get industry knowledge? Business description and background question: I own and operate a barbershop business. I feel like it's necessary to always look to build relationships in my industry. I want to attend as many events as possible, but sometimes I'm not sure I'm getting a return. How can I better measure this? Okay, Ricardo. So, um, what you can do here is looking at a lot of industry, attending a lot of events there, spending a lot of money, and it's you're building relationships, but relationships that can help you with ideas around your business. You're not building relationships of people you can sell to. Okay, you go off to some conference, people in that conference are not going to fly to your city and get their haircut from you. So you go to those conferences, you're going to find and hear about ideas that are representative of selling to your potential clients. Okay, that's all good, but how many of those do you really need to go to? And I would look at what they are and what you feel your needs are, and find the one conference that's you feel is best aligned with that, and I would go to that one conference each year. Okay, or maybe go to it a few times and then switch to a different type of conference. But I would not go to bunches and bunches of conferences thinking that that's going to be the answer to you growing your business. Okay, if you have a barbershop and then you open up 10 other barbershops and you are out there looking to figure out how to scale that, there's conferences that you would want to go to that would make that happen. Okay, it help give you that knowledge share, that would help give you those people that are doing it, and you could get insight and experience share from them to help do that. But if you have a one barbershop and you're trying to grow that barbershop, then I would look at going to one conferences. The other thing that you could look at doing is getting the book .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. And you may think, well, I have a barbershop. How did .com Secrets going to help me? Well, the world is marketed online now, okay? And in this book, he talks about helping chiropractors, massage, nail salons, things like that, how they could actually build funnels to get people to come and provide different services for them, and how to attract different people, different customers to their business. So I would look at getting that book and spending your time that you would be at a conference reading and figuring out how you could implement the steps that's going to grow your business. Okay, this is a key area now that's happening for businesses that are very attractive and will help you probably a lot more than going to 5 or 10 different conferences out there and spending that kind of money. I would take that money that you're spending, go to one conference a year, and the rest of it I would be figuring out how to implement some of these ideas in .com Secrets that would help you grow your business. Hope that helps. Okay, so Ricardo asked the next question also, and he says, how can I incentivize employees to stay longer with my company? Business description and background of question. I own and operate a barber business. I feel like if I can find a way to give the employees stock share or bonuses that would incentivize them to stick around more and grow with the business and grow with the business. If there's any strategies that work out there, I would like to hear about them. Thank you. Okay, Ricardo. Yes, keeping employees, making employees happy, having them stay around a long time is the biggest problems that businesses are facing right now. Finding people, keeping them or getting them on board and keeping them are the biggest challenges that businesses have in today's environment. There's just not enough people, good people. I mean, there's plenty of people out there, but there's not enough good people that want to work, have the knowledge, and have the what you call it, the characteristics and discipline to just show up regularly. And we've all heard that old saying, 90% of life is just showing up. And in today's day environment, it's really hard just to get people to show up. So anyway, here's a few ideas I would have. I consider maybe putting a retirement plan in place, 401k type plan, where you're putting some money in and matching their contributions. That could be something that helps incentivize and does a lot out there in the world. And you can do it under what's called a vesting schedule. That if a lot of vesting for 401ks go in the format of the money you put in the first year is 20% invested, second year 40, and on down, so that 5 years down the road you got 100% invested. So you're going to keep people kind of in around for in 5 years before the money you're putting in, they know they're going to get to keep. That is one area. You hear a lot. I meet a lot of people, and with that, ask them what's going on in their lives and what's happening. You say, oh, well, I'm a teacher, and I'm not really like teaching anymore, but I got 2 years or 3 years left before I can maximize my pension, and then I'm going to leave. Well, that's a scenario that you're hearing that people are staying around because they're waiting for something a bigger payout or something to happen in the future that's going to maximize their results, their returns. And so you hear that with police officers. I'm staying around until I get my 20 years. Or the military people, if I put my 20 years, when I get my 20 years in, I want to go and do this type of work instead. But I'm staying for the 20 years because that's when I'm going to get my biggest pension. So that may be a little bit of an incentive there. You can structure it in ways that could maybe maximize some things for you or maximize that situation, and at least from a retirement perspective. But the other thing you can do is maybe potentially a profit sharing plan. Okay? That, there's many ways that barbershops work, and some hire people and pay them a salary. Others, they come in and they pay for their chair like in a rent, and they have to grow their own business. So it sounds to me, you didn't say this as such, but it sounds to me like these are employees that you've hired, and they're there that when you bring in clientele, they're going to do so many cuts, and from there they're going to make money no matter how many cuts they do. They're going to get paid a salary. So you could incentivize them with bringing more people in, that they get a percentage of that, or some type of bonus program that is structured, that you look at the cost of your business, you look at your gross operating expenses, and you figure out a net profit type situation. And with that, you can give them a percentage of your bonuses to help incentivize them to stay around. Okay? So, lastly, I would look at searching some blogs and look at blogs in your area, something like retention for barbershops and so forth. Actually, I just got my hair cut a little while ago from a popular salon here in Knoxville. That he has a high-end salon, and he also has a barbershop, and the barbershops were called Frank's Barbershop. And he had a couple different locations for it in some different cities, and he decided to kind of franchise it and build it out. And he had to change the name of it, but Frank's Barbershop was ranked the #1 barbershop in the country a few years ago. and he does well by doing a lot of doing some of these things I'm talking about. And he also speaks out at industry events and so on to help other barbershops grow. So I've got just a little bit of insight on that, but I don't think enough that can give you the highest quality answers here. So you need to do a little bit of research, and I would look at some blogs that are talking about retention for barbershop area and see where you can find some knowledge there, or some other places to go that or could lead you to those particular industry events that would make that happen for you or give you that knowledge and that knowledge share. Okay. Hope that helps, Ricardo. That's my last question for today. So good being here with all of you again this month. Look forward to next month and digging into some of these questions. Great questions today. Thanks all. Have a good month. Bye.